grab my glasses.
Okay, so this is a recorded session now, you guys. So whatever we say and do will be recorded. So this is all good. So the purpose of this training is really to go through the back office presentation for the North American Compensation Plan presentation. And what I suggest we do here, guys, is I can go through every slide so you see how I flow from one slide to the other. I'm not going to do a presentation. I'm just going to talk about the elements that are important to cover, and then I will pause for you to be able to ask some questions or maybe have some clarity. So I recommend maybe you take some notes. Now remember that this is a recorded presentation, so you will be able to go back and listen to it later, and we can always go back with questions. But it'll be nice in real time if you do have some questions. After every slide, I will pause for a few seconds, give you an opportunity to interact, and so we can shed some clarity. Is that okay for everybody?
Yes, perfect, yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so obviously I skipped all the slides all the way up to slides 23, which is when we get into the business opportunity. Now, one of the things that I have been teaching, and this, by the way, the teaching that I'm sharing right now is exactly the same thing that I share with everybody from the past, 10 years, as we have been evolving with modifying presentation format, but especially when we went to Africa. I mean, what I'm sharing with you is exactly what I shared with these guys too. And eventually what happens is people develop their own voice, their own style. And this is exactly what I'm looking for. My goal is to give you the seeds for you to build upon. And that's the purpose of this training right now. So this particular slide, Max as a Business, Imagine Your Future. It's really designed to, it's designed for create an interaction with your audience. This is an opportunity where you can interact with your audience. For example, as your slide comes in and you're obviously share with the audience that now we're getting into the business opportunity aspect of the presentation, and you can start with the audience. And again, you don't have to do that. I'm giving you some suggestions. And a lot of time some of the things I share now, you may not be comfortable doing it right away, but as you become more comfortable presenting, you might remember those suggestions that you may be comfortable bringing it up. And often I ask the audience, what slides talks to you or speaks to you, or what would your life be like, or what would you want your life to be like, right? So again, ask the questions to create an interaction with the audience. And often nobody will say anything and people are a little bit shy. That's totally okay. We're trying to avoid the awkward silence. So you just go ahead and you fill in by saying, for example, in my case, and my story is I had credit card debts. It was a big problem, right? I wanted the lifestyle without having the money ready for it. And I started piling up credit cards and other things, investments that I've done. And in fact, Olga, you probably read that in the book. Mm-hmm. And I ended up, being in debt with other situations that happened in my personal life. Yeah. So for me, when I was able to literally get rid of my credit card, and in reality, I didn't get rid of my credit card. I got rid of all the debts of my credit card. And every single month for the past 12 years, my credit cards were paid in full. Now, again, you can share your story that way, but you can look at these, again, at the audience based on the people that you have in the audience there, and simply ask them, what slide speaks to you? What picture speaks to you? And someone may turn around and say, I like the house, right? And based on that, you can start adding to the audience. And the key is you want the audience to be comfortable with you. Often, especially in the North American market, charity is important. I know that Tammy and I have been sponsoring children from the Philippines for the past almost 10 years now, right? This is something that's part of our life. Some people love to, they would love to go shop without ever worrying about the price tag. If they want something, they go and get it. And that's very appealing to some people. Or, so again, you understand what I'm saying. So the key here is to, again, engage the audience to interact with you. Any comments or questions on this?
No, I'm good with that. Eleanor likes to call the middle slide of the top plastic surgery.
Agreed. So here's what's really important though. When you're moving on from this slide to this one over here, often what I found is when people are not trained or they're not prepared to present, they forget that this is a video, and the video starts and they haven't introduced it. I find that you will get better results if people anticipate what's coming. So I always prepare the next slide when I finish my previous slide. So as I'm finishing this slide, then I will move on to this one. But before I do, I will say the next slide, folks, we're going to share with you the environment of today when it comes to our financial environment or our financial situation. And then from there, and share whatever you feel you want to share based on your personal feelings about the economy of today. I mean, this is no news. Everybody understand. You watch the news every day. You listen to the news every day. And every day we hear drama around the economy. So whatever speaks to you that you feel compelled to want to share that. And again, you always remember that you don't want to make it too long because you don't want the presentation, especially the opportunity to be more than 15, maximum 20 minutes. And that's a little long. It should be wrapped up within 15 to 20 minutes. And then from there, you let the video take its course. And by the way, that was Ian's edit to make sure that we have the logo and the label from the creator, which is Eric Worre GoPro, right? And then the video take its course. And then from there, when it's done, then you fall into the global industries. And what I like to do here is I always reference what we just talked about when we talked about the previous slide, when we talked about our products, right? So what I obviously want to share is that Max International is part of the global industry today, major global industry today, which is the weight loss, the skincare, which is, by the way, folks, I know the product is not there yet, but there's some things that's going to be coming next year with Max International. That is going to be really, really, really awesome, which is in line with that. So that's what we keep in it. And now, of course, the global nutraceutical industry, which, again, it's quite significant, talking about our supplements. And then, obviously, the global energy drink industry, which is $61 billion, and it's horrible for you. But that's where the Max ATP fall into, the category that it falls into. So again, it's just a reference. And you always want to be mindful of the time. Always be mindful of the time you spend on every slide. The way I look at this is if I don't want to spend more than 15 minutes, and if I look from slide 23 to slide 41, if you do the math, it's around 20 slides, a little over 20 slides. So obviously, if you spend 1 minute on every slide, that's 20 minutes. So there's some slides that you don't need to spend a lot of time on. This one is an introduction. You can spend a minute or two, depending on the audience, depending on that. The video is about 2 minutes or actually a minute something, right? And this shouldn't be more than, 30 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds, right? So don't spend too much time on that. And then this slide is being updated. The reason why it hasn't changed yet is because I'm looking for the revenues that are accurate, and I believe it's 190 billion and not 220 billion. And so I asked Paul and Linda, they're working on that, and I should have it by today or tomorrow, and we will update this slide over here. But this slide here is very important. We know that there is a stigma in North America, all over the world, between you and I, when it comes to network marketing. People do not respect our industry. And that's the reason why this slide is so important. And even if this slide is out of date, it doesn't matter if it's properly presented. Because when I present it, I will say something like, folks, even though this slide is a bit out of date, let's look at the facts. From 2003 to 2013, the network marketing annual revenue is up to $180 billion in sales. It grew by 90 billion in 10 years. This is significant. Now, today, the global music industry and the professional sport industry has increased, so it has flatlined. So it's not going down anymore. So it's flatlined now. So that has to be updated. But the point remains that the industry of network marketing is a major, major significant way of earning an income. And that's the message that we want the audience to understand, that this is an industry to take seriously and to help them make an educated decision as they move forward in their decision, right? And often I will reference this quote that is stated by Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn, I mean, is an incredible business philosopher who passed away in 2009, who has moved the world with the way he communicates and marries the industry of network marketing as a valuable way of being profitable. So a lot of people know him, but a lot of people don't know him, okay? So that was a quote that came from him. Now, as we move forward, any questions so far?
No, we're good so far.
Okay, so as we move forward and we get into the business strategy, now this is when we get into the max business model, right? So now we want the audience to always be able to follow you, right? So very important here is you don't want to speak too fast. You don't want to go too slow, but you don't want to go too fast. And you want to keep things very simple. You don't want things to be complicated. So obviously, we want to keep things simple. So I'm going to share with the audience that there's really 4 factors that we want to talk about in our business model. And when you start, always start from the top. Don't start from the bottom up. Start from the top down. I find it's easier for someone to, it's a bit of a, how do you say, a philosophy that I've always adopted where, for example, if I'm talking about products or income or packages, I always start with the most expensive package and then I default to the least expensive package, right? It's easier for people to, I find, to consider the most expensive package, obviously if they see the value of it, and then you finish with the least expensive package, okay? So it's the same thing for income. I always start with the biggest income and I finish with the smallest income, right? And because at the end of the day, if you look at this chart here, this is the dollar side of the graph and this is the time side of the graph. And one of the reasons why many people don't really make a lot of cash in this kind of business is because they live here. They live within this environment of the customer gathering. They never go here for many reasons: fear, belief, disbelief, whatever the situation is. So I really emphasize that this is what people are looking for: the residual income, the kind of income that you have worked on years ago and you still get paid from time as time goes forward. And I mentioned to the audience that we're going to cover the binary income, and we'll touch briefly on the matching check bonus. And, we'll touch on a max living bonus, but it's really the binary income that we'll focus on. And then we'll get into the bridge income, which we'll talk about the fast start income, which is the income that is immediately generated when an associate begins. And then we'll move on to the prime, which is the building block in the foundation of building your organization, right? And then we'll touch a little bit of the bonus, the global bonus pool. And of course, the customer gathering, this is my default. So if people are not interested in the opportunity, I don't want them to feel like I'm not interested in working with them. Absolutely not. I love my customers. But I finish with my customers. I don't make my customers as a prime target, okay? And again, I find that it's the way that you deliver the message that will define your audience and how they will perceive the information. I find that very accurate in my experience. So this is how I go about it. So when I get to the customer aspect, then I will mention that if someone is not interested in a business opportunity and you're sitting here, maybe you've done your part for King and Country, and at this point you really want to benefit from the product, or maybe you want to get a feel for what the product can do for you before you get involved, that is totally understandable. Then become a customer, and we'll talk about that over here, okay? So at the end of the day, what's very important that the audience understands, because now we're at the business aspect, is that if they always lead with the product, that's the kind of income that they will be aiming for. But if you lead with the opportunity and default with the product, then it's a complete different ball game. And the income is limitless. Okay? So from there, now that we've done this, now we get into, okay, how do we qualify for commission? So I make sure they understand that they need to consume at least 2 or more or at least qualify for 100 PV, which stands for personal volume, to qualify for all form of a commission available. So obviously, the preferred customer, which we talked about earlier, if someone is interested in trying the product, you will earn 25% based on the cost of the product. Okay, straightforward. Now, further down on further slide, we'll talk about the fast start bonus, the prime bonus, and a team bonus. I don't get into the numbers here because we're going to spend quite a bit of time for the next 3 slides explaining those 3. So I don't need to get into details here. It's just a little surface overview. But I will mention that there's also an aspect we're not going to cover in here this evening, but you have an opportunity to get a matching check bonus. This is like royalty. On every single person you bring into the business, they have the opportunity to earn their team bonus that can go up to a significant amount, as you can see before you. You have the potential to earn up to 50%. And I don't go beyond that. And then we have a global bonus pool, the max living bonus, and all of that. All of these will come to you as you grow your business. But for now, let's focus on what you would get paid right away. And then I move on to the next slide. And let's begin with the fast start income. So any comments or questions?
Nope.
I'm good.
Okay. So now we move into the fast start income. Now the fast start income, this is part of the bridge income. So going back on the 3 different models, segments that we're sharing with you earlier, that's the one in the center. So when someone says, I want to be part of this business, they enroll. And we'll get into the enrollment fee in a minute here. But when they enroll, they have 3 options for them to start with. They can start with the Premier Pack. They can start with the Momentum Pack, or any of the personal packs that are available. And you will earn a commission that will reflect the choice of package that the person chooses. And this is paid on the following week. For example, if someone enrolls on Thursday and the order goes Friday morning, then as triggered in that particular week, then on Wednesday, you will get paid. And I keep it as that. It's that simple. Any questions on this? Okay. So from there, I mentioned now the other aspect, talking about the bridge income, it's what we call the prime bonus income. Now the prime bonus income, this is the foundation. And when you build your business, it doesn't matter where you live. If you're able to qualify for prime bonus, then you can teach it. And here's what you need to know. When you start your business, the way you build your business is by qualifying for prime level 1. To qualify for prime level 1, the company states that you need to have at least 3 people that are enrolled as an associate, and that they're consuming at least 100 CV. If you recall, that's the auto ship qualification that we talked about when we got into the beginning of this presentation with the compensation plan aspect. And of course, that you yourself ordering your 100 PV. PV stands for personal volume, and CV stands for commissionable volume. This is the commission that you are getting paid based on their personal order. For them, they see PV. You see their CV. Okay, so this will be converted into money for you. Now, the company states that you need to have at least 500 CV coming from the entire first generation. What they mean is that's the people that you personally bring into the business. Now, you can bring 3 and you can help them gather their customers that will top up for the difference of the 200 CV missing to get 500. But between you and I really recommend for you to go get 5 people. Why is that? Because the average person will spend anywhere between 100 to 120, some 140, some will go up to 180 on a monthly basis. So what happens is whenever you have your 5 consuming every month, most likely every single month you will qualify for your prime level 1, which in return you will receive for a maximum of up to $75. Now, that may not seem like a lot when you look at it as a unit, but it becomes very significant when it gets duplicated. And that's when I move on to the next slide. And from there, we just spent time about sharing the Prime level 1, which is this over here. You need to sponsor 3 associates that are consuming 100 points. So is you. But you need a total of 500, and that's 85. Now, the moment out of the 5 people, 3 of them earn their Prime level 1, you are moving to Prime level 2. So now your paycheck will jump from a maximum of 75 to a maximum of 375 every month. Now, again, it's possible that this is not the kind of income that's going to pay your mortgage, but folks, think about it. If you earn up to $375 a month with just this amount of people in your team, I don't know if you realize, I give you an example. I've made some investments in the past in properties, and I can barely make $300 a month based on the investment and the mortgage I had and the rent I was able to charge. And I had a tremendous amount of money tied up into this property. This is not what we're talking about here. We're talking very little financial that are actually tied up. What you're talking about here is the residual aspect of this business model of helping people qualify for Prime Bonus Level 1. So again, help people qualify for Prime Bonus Level 1, and every time you do that, and it's not just about you qualifying, but it's by helping your team qualifying and helping them helping their team qualifying. And as this keeps duplicated, you are going to move up the rank of Prime 1, Prime 2, and Prime 3 up to a maximum of $1,500 a month. Now, this is US dollars. So when you look at this, it may not seem like a lot, but folks, it is quite significant if you add this on a monthly basis. But that is not even the part that's exciting. Let me share with you where it becomes very exciting. Now, before I move on to the next slide, any questions, anybody?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So with regard to commissionable volume for your 3, is that also it's 2 products, correct?
Yes.
They would be consuming.
That's correct. This is the 100 points that people need to consume on a monthly basis.
So in essence, each product is 50 commissionable volume.
Actually, it varies. For example, if you're talking about the Celgivity, it's if you're on loyalty, it's $65, 65 CV.
I see. Okay.
And then you add, let's say, the ATP. The ATP on loyalty, it's $55, 55 CV. So you're at 120. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So the average Canadian.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the average Canadian spends about 120 CV a month.
Right. So when someone you sponsors somebody else, it becomes, their 100 PV and reverts to commissionable volume for the people they bring in. So
that is correct.
It's just duplication, right?
That is correct.
Right.
And at the beginning, you want to keep this very, very, very simple, where really this slide says it all. Is each individuals need to qualify for this commission. And if this is all you did, well, think about it. Everybody in your team would qualify for Prime Level 1. You only need 3, and then you're Prime Level 2. And if you duplicate this concept where now your personals are helping their 5 to qualify for Prime 1, what's going to happen is you're going to move on to Prime Level 3 if this keeps going. And you don't really have to go into a lot of details here, because you don't want people to try to figure all this out in one presentation. You just want them to understand that when they begin, they need to qualify for the Prime Level 1. That's all they need to retain. And if this is duplicated every single time someone comes in, by default, you will get to Prime Level 2 and Prime Level 3. And this is what we have done in Africa and in Ghana, and it exploded. The same thing in Nigeria. For the past 4 years, as we were traveling in these markets, this is what we wanted the leadership to train, and they have done that. And that's the reason today we have Crown Diamonds, because this duplication has taken life on its own. And in the Philippines, for example, we haven't had a new diamond, evolved for a long time until Tammy and I, there was a lot of politics prior to 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, we introduced that concept, exactly that slide here. This is the core. This is the beating heart of the entire presentation. And when they got that and they started explaining this to their downline, now we started seeing double diamonds. And as you saw last month, we have a new triple diamond and mini diamonds that are coming in. And we want the same thing in Canada. And trust me, we can, because Canada is a rich country. It really is. We may not see it that way, but trust me, we are. So it's just the mindset and the mentality, and to adopt the concept of leading with the business and not so much about the product. And we're moving there. I mean, I see the improvement, and we're really evolving here. It won't take long. It's happening here. So this is just, again, a follow through from this slide. So people understand that it continues if you duplicate the process. But here's what's really important. As you're moving on from this slide to this one, right, now we get into the heart of the income compensation plan, which is the binary team bonus. And what I want people to understand so they can quantify how to climb the ranks of bronze to silver to gold to platinum and so forth, what's really important to understand is these qualifications that are occurring on the left team and the right team. Same thing for the silver. Same thing for the gold. Okay, and the amounts are increasing because it's not about you doing all the work anymore. It's about the team duplicating the process. So if I may here go back to this slide here, if everybody qualifies for prime level 1, or at least the people you're training and the one that are serious, they know that they need to meet this requirement to become a prime 1. You guys are following me? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if we go back here, and those same 5 people, okay, that we're talking about, if we help them qualifying for prime level 1, right, you understand that that will generate 500 points minimum. 500 points minimum. 500 points minimum, because the minimum requirement to become a prime level 1 is 500 CV. So now if we've duplicated that, this is 1,500 points on your left and 1,000 points on your right. This is just your 5. Now, if you're duplicating your business and they want to get to prime 1, that's going to push you to prime 2. But in the same time, what's going on? You're adding blocks of 500 CV every time a new person qualifies to prime level 1. So this is what you need to absorb in a compensation plan. And the people who have done that, they happens to be my diamonds, my double, triples, and crowns, because that's what they're teaching. And as they're teaching that, their audience are getting it, some are getting it, and the ones that are getting it are going to do it. And that's the reason why you're going to hit the level of bronze. How do you get the level of bronze? Okay, well, you get the level of bronze by making sure that you meet the requirement of 200 points on your right team and your left team. So I stated here that you got 1,500 for this example and 1,000 in this example. So if you want to quantify, look at this as quantifying my how many people I need to have. Well, you need 4 here and 4 here. So that means you need 2 more here. And it's not people that you have brought into the business necessarily. It could be you, but it'd be better if you help these people qualify for prime 2 or help them to qualify for prime 1. And by doing that, they need to sponsor people that will also qualify for prime 1. And these will add blocks of 500 CV. Excuse me. Okay. So what's happening is over time, when you start quantifying all these 500 points, and remember, I'm leaving out the customers, I'm leaving out people that are coming in with their packages. Remember, someone who comes in with a momentum pack, it's 300 CV. Someone who comes in with a premier pack, it's, I don't know, in Canada, I think it's 600 or 700 CV. I forgot the exact amount. Okay, so I'm not even counting any of these packages. All these points are bonuses. All I'm talking about right now is what you can quantify and take to the bank every single month. And that's helping people to qualify for prime level 1. Because I know that if every month you got 2,000 points on your right team and 2,000 points on your left team, I know you're going to get a minimum of $200. Okay. And in Canada, $300 Canadian is actually the breaking point to avoid bankruptcy for most people. So $200 US, that's about $25 for each $100. So it's about, it's almost $300 Canadian. Well, man, it's sorry, it's $250 Canadian, right? Or around that time, around that amount. So it's really, really awesome. And that's why Canadians love to get paid in US dollars, because of the jump that we get. And we may pay a little bit more for a product by $10 or $5 or $15, but the moment you start earning $100, you've made that $25 extra, or whatever the exchange rate happens to be. You guys are following me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's attractive. And mention that to people so they don't turn around and says, well, how come we don't pay in Canadian dollars? Trust me, when you share that with them, they are going to get it. In fact, people get very excited. Okay. Now, you guys understand the relationship between the prime level 1 and the binary team?
Yep.
Okay. And that's what's really important, because from that point on, it's always the same record. It's always the same song that just keeps playing. It's always the same. So for example, a silver associate, right? Now, a silver associate, it's 5,000 points. The work is the same, but now there are more people that are in your team qualify for their prime level 1. So you're going to be adding more blocks of 500 CVs in your team that will push the volume for you to reach the level of silver. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. And by default, you'll hit the gold, you'll hit the platinum. And when I say by default, is always teaching the same process and make sure people understand, okay, what do I need to do? You need to do this. And I'm telling you, if you sponsor 5 people and 5 people qualifies for this, you've done an incredible job of duplicating. And if your team duplicates that even 50%, even less, and it keeps duplicating, I'm telling you, you're going to do extremely well, right? So this is kind of the message that I want to relay as I'm sharing this. Now, I'm not going to spend as much time as I did for you here when I'm putting this in front of sharing this in front of the audience. I'm just going to say a lot less, but I'm going to share some key points for them to understand the relationship from the fast start and the income generated from the fast start when they initiate their order. And the next step now is to qualify for the prime bonus level 1. And of course, we want to duplicate that with the people that we sponsored. And then we want to quantify the amount of people qualified for prime level 1. So we meet the requirements based on the desired pin level. And I'm telling you that you won't have to worry how to become a diamond if you do this correctly. And this is exactly what is going on. If they can do this in Africa, folks, I'm telling you, you can do this in Canada. It's just a mindset. That's it, right? So this is generally how I present the compensation plan. And I don't spend a lot of time with the big incomes here, but people do need to see, because in the audience, you will have opportunity seekers that can see much bigger than $200 a month. So they need to see that, you know, it could be significant, but obviously you don't want to share pies in the sky. You want people to understand the relationship as to how these numbers can grow by focusing on the bronze and silver and golds. Our goal is, I know in Canada, this is an income that is considered very comfortable in our country, right? Obviously, platinum is also quite reasonable. Remember, this is US dollars. So it becomes significant when it's changing Canadian dollars. From that point on, as we move to the next slide, now I just want to pause for a minute. Do you have any questions or comments? Okay, it makes sense. Okay. Now the next step here is now how do we get started? And this is generally pretty fast. I don't spend a lot of time there. Obviously, we used to be $49. Now it's $25 to start your business. And we want people to understand, in North America, it's not much of a problem, but sometimes when you deal with different markets, people need to understand, well, what am I paying for? And that's why we define these different categories that we tend to take for granted. when people have never been self-employed. But these are all things that is all embedded into that $25 a month, a year.
Chris,
Yes.
is it possible to take the Max app off there? Because we really don't have that anymore.
The Max what?
The Max app,
Oh, you're right.
and maybe
I
even
forgot to clean that up.
and maybe even the baby blue up in the right there.
Yeah.
Maybe put some other, just some.
Yeah. Yeah. For that, for the time being, I'm leave it there. So it just doesn't look, so it doesn't look like it's empty, but, because we do have a virtual office and everything is there, but that's a good point, Ian. I will definitely, that's a good point. I could probably delete that and bring this up here like that. Right. And there we go. We'll do it in real time here. Cover the old bar. There you go. There we go. That's a good point, Ian. Sometimes you look at something so much you don't even see it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I've done it and I've kind of gone, oh, and I've almost said Max app and I just skip over it. But
Yeah. No, that's right.
I
So,
see.
okay. So now we get, So now we get on how do we get started. And so again, it's there, but here's where, again, Max now has created packages in Canada that in the United States that this distributor kit is, or I should say distributor rights, not kit, but rights is included in the price. So again, I start with the Premier pack, the Momentum pack, and then the Personal pack. Now, personally, I love this package. Between you and I prefer someone to buy that twice than buying this package. Why? Because it's $5 cheaper and you get more products and it's better organized for duplication, right? And you get the same amount of CV. So between you and I prefer the Momentum pack, and it counts for promotions for our current events. For example, the upcoming convention, right? So I love the Momentum pack, and the price is more attractive than this, right? And this is perfect. I love this package. I really, really do. So I really focus on this one. And but a lot of time there are people who have stores and retail stores, and they love to sell products. And for them, I have people who buy this like every 2 or 3 months because they sell it, right? And that's totally cool. But the majority of people, they're not going to sell a lot of products. And this is a one-time purchase, and then you buy your products every month, which we talked about, the 100 CV.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Christian. So I like the Momentum pack too, and I purchased that when I joined, and I like to purchase it every once in a while, so I have samples.
Perfect. We do that too.
Yeah. So what does it mean? Do I get? You were speaking about points for the upcoming events.
Okay.
What happens when you buy this Momentum pack more than once, or
Okay.
or does it count for anything?
This is the first time only when you
Right.
buy it the one time.
Okay.
After that, because you don't get the same amount of points when you buy them to recharge, this version we call the recharge pack, like when you buy it, you get full dollar per points. When you buy for the first time, there's a faster commission triggered, but also it counts towards the cruise point. For example, if you sponsor someone that buys this package, it will count. It will count for them, and it will count for you. And you know what I mean? There's more details if you go to. In fact, I'm just going to go to the last slide for the sake of this discussion here. If you go to max.com/convention 2019, all the details are there, because I don't want to mislead you, because things changes from year to year, package to package. And sometimes I get confused with what happened 5 years ago or what's going on today. But it's sometimes very similar. But all the details are here. And I recommend you go check this out to make sure you get all the facts.
Okay.
Because everything is there on what you get as far as points towards the convention, so you can get on the convention the company's dime by doing the activities. For example, when you qualify for Prime Level 1 the first time, and then you help someone to qualify for Prime Level 1, and then you reach a level bronze, you reach a level silver, you reach a level gold, all of that these are all points that accumulates every time you bring someone to the business, every time they get any kind of packages, they get an authorship, everything counts for the points that will add up towards the point you can see in your back office, so you can get on the convention and the company's dime. And all the details on the website I shared. So to go back to this slide over here, this is where we talk about the packages available, which is related to this slide over here when we talk about the Fast Start Income, Premier Pack, Momentum Pack, Personal Pack. Well, this is exactly what this relates to. These are the package we were talking about. Okay? Which includes, again, the distribution right. Now we finished the presentation. And then, again, this is pretty straightforward. Where we establish the international market. And again, of course, I know that Max has business in many, many countries, but these are the official markets recognized by the company where the government has approved the products. We have an office and we're operating, okay? The only country that does not have an office is Canada and Australia, because we're kind of a modern country where we do everything online and everything is shipped and is drop shipped to everybody's doorsteps, where in many countries, like the Philippines, because often people have to go and pick up their products, especially in the African market. Very often there's areas there's no address, and it's like that. But generally, every countries have an office, and in fact, New Zealand has an office that supports Australia, and United States has an office that supports Canada and the US. Make sense, everybody?
Yep.
So from there, I've updated the numbers here that we've achieved, over 480 million in sales in our first 10 years in business, and half of that has been paid in commission to people like you and I, which is really, really awesome. So if the company is $1 billion company in sales, that means 500 million are being paid to associates like you and I. That's the kind of business model I love. This is what breaks the cycle of poverty. When I mean poverty, I don't mean just poverty in money, but poverty in time, poverty in family time. This business offers you the freedom to do a lot of things that between you and I, the corporate world does not allow us to do, right? People are too busy going to work to be able to make a living and pay their mortgages and their debts and everything else and pay their kids' education and so forth. So this industry is wonderful, and this company gives 50 cents on every dollars to associates based on the form of commission I just shared with you in this compensation plan. And again, when you share this in a manner that I just did, you will find your audience will respect that and will even honor what the company is doing, which often will encourage them to want to be part of something that bigger than themselves. And that's what this is. Right? And then we end with the fact that this person is giving you a gift, and it's up to you to decide if you want to be part of this or not. And then we just reemphasize on increased vitality, better health, more money, more time, less stress, see more of the world, literally, and help to give back to your community, which many, 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 many people have done. Right? And then we move on, and that's when we end the presentation. And we want people to leave with these thoughts, is that there's 3 requirements to be successful in this kind of business. And one is you got to dream again. And this is what I found is if people are dreaming again and they see the big picture, I am not kidding, folks. It's amazing the transformation I see in people over time when they start reaching their dreams or walking towards those dreams that they forgot or they didn't think it was possible anymore based on their age and family situation and so forth. So all this to say, number 1 is you got to dream again. And when people are seeing the possibilities to reach those dreams, get into this new car, get into this new house, be able to build this church. But again, everybody has different reasons for being. And when they see that it's part of an agenda that now they can do, people have no problem doing the work. No problem at all. Even get out of the comfort zone in doing this kind of business. But then I finished that the third aspect is people need to be willing to learn and unlearn, because it's a different model. It's a different approach. It's a different way of doing business, because we're not in a business of competing with others and dog eat dog. We're in a business of duplicating and helping others get what you have. And if you help them get what you have, you end up having more. And that's how the plan is designed. It's beautiful, but sometimes we need to learn and unlearn to be able to evolve. And then I finish with this slide as we end the presentation, where often people think, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not a salesperson, right? And often people think that way, and you don't need to be a salesperson. I was a software engineer, But here's an example from a billionaire, a British billionaire, who states that if someone offers you an amazing, and often what I'm going to do, and I think many of you have heard me say this, is I ask the audience, I want you to read me what's in blue, because I wanted to participate in this. You read me what's in blue, I'm going to read what's in black. So if someone offers you an amazing
Opportunity.
exactly, but you're not sure you can do it,
Say yes.
Say yes.
say yes, then learn how to do it later. And you'll find that the audience will, it's like you capture their attention, right? And it's all steps that gets them closer to you for them to make an educated decision towards saying yes, understanding the possibilities, right? And you don't need to know everything. We will teach you in the process. And this slide is there because I know that some people have done network marketing before. Maybe they haven't had the success with it before. And because of that, they had this very negative attitude about how things were. And that's what the slide is here, where your life today is a result of your attitude and decision of the past. But tomorrow, your life tomorrow will be the results of the decision that you're going to make today. Seize the opportunity with Max International. Join us. Work with us. Let us help you reach your dreams. And you can use whatever words you feel is appropriate for you to share, that you feel comfortable sharing. Now, here, this slide, again, is to create a message of unity. And I love this. I love the idea of the entire world holding hands and working together. I'm laughing because I know it's very optimistic and it's not easy. But this is what we're doing with this company, right? We started with a drop that created a ripple, literally. And that's where I said that we're one dream that was initiated by our doctors that created vision for the people behind this company. Because of this company, we created a team of associates around the world sharing this information. We're now turned into a mission because we are changing people's lives all over the world. And I've replaced this slide, but what was there before? Because there's some changes occurring. I don't know exactly what's going on between you and I, but what's happening with the founders and the investors, that's not my business. My business is my team, our people, my family. And it's important that what we share and who we promote is in line with the people that are in the field helping us grow this business to help people increase their income. And I wanted this a neutral, generic slide that represent who we are. And I couldn't think of a better slide than this one here. So that's why that was replaced with what you saw before. And of course, when you finish a presentation, you always want to lead for the next event. Every time you're in front of people, you always want to take the opportunity to lead to the next event. And that's why we talk about the Dominican Republic September event. I know not everybody will be able to attend, but everybody could if they wanted to, if they get to work, because they can get on the company's dime if they qualify. And even if they don't qualify for the entire amount, they can earn a portion of the money to be able to use that towards the convention, right? So we always end promoting for the next event. And you probably saw today, maybe you haven't, I posted a little video with Tammy on the convention. And if you go on my Facebook, you'll see it. And when you click on the link above, it will take you to two reference, which is one is the conference call the company did last night, and also the website, which is this website, to help people orient themselves around this this convention. The one thing that I found in my business is when our leaders attend the event, they tend to see the bigger picture, and I find that they come back refreshed and with a bigger vision and a bigger belief on what can be done with this company from before, when they, from what they perceived the company was before they attend an event like this. It never fails. So I really encourage for you to attend and encourage you downline to attend. And I think that by presenting this, every single presentations in homes, it's just another opportunity to expose the information for those that are willing to be part of it. And that's how we end the presentation. And we finish with obviously testimonials. And it's important to have business testimonials, not just product testimonials. Otherwise, you're not going to create the belief in the audience that it's possible for them. Okay, so any questions?
Will this new presentation be posted on Active Team?
Yeah, I'll save it. I'm gonna put it under the video section, and I'll put it probably under miscellaneous training, Olga. And usually the most recent training is always the top one. So when you click on videos, and you'll notice that one that says miscellaneous, when you click on that, it'll be there.
Okay.
Okay.
So
let me
what is-
stop.
what
Sorry,
is-
go ahead.
Sorry, what is the best, so this is helpful. I have a much better understanding now, but you know, when I did my first presentation, I kind of followed Linda because I saw her and that was the part I was presenting. So I kind of went off her format and kind of tweaked it, which I've now sent to Tammy and she can look at it, and I appreciate her feedback. But so to watch this portion, like I have Olga's, but is there one that you recommend, like as far as condensing, or, you know, is there one that you
Yes.
recommend? to
Yes.
watch?
Okay, let me stop the video so it doesn't get too long here. 1 second.